Hey guys, Average Scarecrow here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Thank you very much for dropping by the channel. As always, I really appreciate it. Guys, today we're going to be going over auto equip. It is now live in the game. A feature I think that is going to be good for a lot of beginners, a lot of people that are still learning the game. It's going to help them navigate sets, and stats, and it's going to help them, I think, learn to what to prioritize for each given champion. And today we're going to be doing a test. So I've got 5 rare champions. We're going to test them out in auto equip gear, and then we're going to test them out in gear that I would craft them in myself. With all of my vast knowledge of Raid Shadow Legends, right? So we're going to do 2 dungeons. We're going to do Dragon, and we're going to do Fire Knight. We're going to run this team together in those 2 dungeons. We'll do a test as far as like, can they get it done, how fast, and what the stats look like, what it looks like, pretty much. So I'm going to go over very briefly who we're going to be using. I'll run through their kits real quick, and then we'll go over the stats on the auto equip, and then when we're done and we switch over, we'll go over the new sets that I picked for them myself. So we'll start with Apothecary here, our support champion. He's got a 3-time hitter on the A1. He's got a heal on the A2, a single target heal on the A2 by 35% of the target's HP, which can be critical on a 2-turn cooldown. He's got increased speed on all allies for 2 turns and turn meter fill by 15%, and he's got defense in dungeons by 21%. We've got Glade Wolf here, another 3-time hitter on the A1 with each hit having a 50-50 chance of placing decreased speed for 2 turns. We've got an AoE Provoke at a 75% land rate on a 4-turn cooldown. We've got a counterattack on himself for 2 turns and a 50% ally protect on all allies except him for 2 turns. And then we've got damage mitigation by 5% for each ally under an ally protection placed by this champion. We've got Bellower. Bellower has a 30% chance of placing block active skills for 1 turn on the A1, which is an AoE ability, which is really good. He's got another AoE on the A2, which has a 75% chance of placing the small version of decreased speed for 2 turns. He's got on the A3, on a 4-turn cooldown, he's got an AoE, places decreased attack and decreased defense for 2 turns. Really good. I've also got him in Nature's Bounty, so it's a chance to upgrade those to the big versions of decreased attack and decreased defense as well. He's got speed and faction crypts by 15%, which we don't need. We've got Grinner here, our reviver. He's got a single target, which has a 25% chance of placing increased attack on all allies for 2 turns. He's got an AoE 50-50 chance of removing a random buff from each target on a 3-turn cooldown, and then he's got a 4-turn revive on a single target ally with 50% HP and a 20% shield based on that ally's max HP. He's got resistant faction crypts. And then we're going to be using Kale today. Kale, one of the starter champions. I don't use a whole lot of Kale on my account, but he's very, very good. People argue that he is the best starter champion. I'm partial to Aethel, but that's just my own personal opinion. He's got a single target on the A1, which has a 100% chance of placing the small version of poison for 2 turns. He's got an AoE, which fills his turn meter by 25% for each enemy killed on a 3-turn cooldown. And then he's got a 4-time random hitter on the A3 on a 4-turn cooldown, with each hit having a 50-50 chance of placing the big version of poison for 2 turns. He's got HP in all battles by 15%. So moving back up to the top with Apothecary, this is the auto equip gear that it has us in. So you can see here now we've got on the menu, automatically equips your champion with recommended artifacts to boost their performance. So recommended gear is already selected. So it's not going to, based on what I can see here, it's not going to prioritize the sets, right? It's going to prioritize the stats more than anything. So Feral on a 3-piece, you don't need that for Apothecary, right? He doesn't have any debuffs, so we don't need 80 accuracy. The speed is nice, but we don't need any of the accuracy. Slayer actually wouldn't be bad if it built him with 100% crit rate, but it's not. So we aren't going to be getting that critical heal on 100% chance because he doesn't. It doesn't prioritize crit rate on support champions, but. So this feels like a bit of a wasted slot unless you went to the 3-piece, which it didn't. And then we've got Mercurial, which to be honest is nice for this champion. Resistance is good. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of random pieces here. It's going to prioritize speed, resistance, and survivability on support champions. So if we look at the total stats here, for example, 67.3 on the HP, 2677 on the defense, 324 on the speed, a lot of speed, only 32% on the crit rate, 463 on the resistance for Apothecary. So very fast, enough resistance to resist most like mid-game dungeons, and then some survivability with the HP and the defense as well. Moving on to Glade Wolf. Now, Glade Wolf, a defensive-based champion, it actually is prioritizing a little bit of damage on him. So we've got crit rate with crit rate. We've got defense, defense, speed, speed. And a lot of just kind of miscellaneous gear. So one piece of feral, one mercurial, one stone skin, one slayer is all we're getting here. Everything else is just loose pieces. So we've got 53.4 on the HP, 49.56 on the defense, 261 on the speed, a whopping 145% on the crit rate, 163 on the crit damage, and 297 on the accuracy. So way overboard on the crit rate, and that's going to be a common theme here. We've got Belor. He is going to be in one piece of Merciless and 3 pieces of Stone Skin, which is interesting. And it's also not prioritizing a whole lot of accuracy on this guy, which is interesting because he's got debuffs on all of his abilities. So I think because they have him listed as a support champion, it's not prioritizing accuracy or damage. So for example, we've got 66 on the HP, 28.15 on the attack, 25.85 on the defense, 279 on the speed, 19% on the crit rate, 95 crit damage, 349 resist, and only 194 on the accuracy. So pretty low on the accuracy for a guy who's got debuffs on every single ability on an AoE. We've got Grinner, who's going to be in 2 pieces of protection, 1 feral, 1 stone skin, 1 supersonic, and that's it. On the total stats, we've got 60.3 on the HP, 32.49 on the defense, 289 on the speed, no crit rate or crit damage, 340 on the resist, and 194 on the accuracy. So finally wrapping it up here, we've got 2 pieces of swift parry on Kale, which is good for him. We've got crit rate with Slayer, and we've got stone skin. Total stats, pretty squishy at 32.5 on the HP. We've got 51.89 on the attack, 22.44 on the defense, 250 on the speed, 114 on the crit rate, 157 crit damage, and only 116 on the accuracy. So even though he's got poisons on multiple abilities, not building him really with enough accuracy to be able to land any of those. So we're going to go ahead and I want to share something real quick. I already kind of touched on it, but I'll just say it again. Because the builds themselves don't look that appealing from a set perspective, but from a stat perspective, it does do a pretty good job of giving us like speed, pretty decent amount of attack for our attack-based champions, and also a lot of some survivability for our support champions. So like resistance is a really big one. I do like that on support champions, it wants to prioritize resistance, especially on champions like revivers and healers. So I do like that. Having said that, I hope that they fine tune this in the future to maybe implement some kind of way for stat sets or sets to be able to play more of a role. Like Relentless on Apothecary is really good, but we've only got 1 Relentless gear, right? So just having said that, I do think it is because in the early game especially, you're not going to have a ton of sets, right? You're going to be using a lot of loose gear that you just kind of collect over time. So I understand, like, I think it's fine that it's not prioritizing it, but I would like them to develop it a little bit more. A few other things that I want to talk about here. So if we go into the auto equip, you can see here, it actually didn't do it with Meat Craver. Let me go in here and see. Here we go. So using auto equip will remove gear that is currently being used by other champions. Their set bonuses may be affected. Do you want to continue? I'm going to click cancel on that. But what I would really like for them to do is give us an overview of what's changing and whose gear is being taken, right? So if I go in here and he's taking all of my Odin gear, right? I would like to be able to click. Continue, and then see an overview of what's going to change and then finalize it after that. I think that would be a really good quality of life update for it right off the bat. And I hope that they keep stuff like that in mind. So just wanted to talk about that for a minute. Let's go ahead and jump in now to, we're going to go stage 24 of the Dragon. Don't want to go stage 25 because we have 2 magic affinity champions. And I do want Kale to be positive affinity because I don't want him weak hitting a bunch when we're trying to deal damage. Now, I'm not going to talk a whole lot during this. I'm going to let you guys watch because this is really all about how they perform in this gear. So are they even going to succeed is the big question. So I'm going to let you guys watch. I'm going to get rid of my camera so you guys can pay attention, and then I'll see you here at the end of the fight, okay? Okay, guys, we're coming up on the end of this fight. It does not look like we're going to succeed. Um, I want to talk about a few things here that I was noticing along the way. So, a couple of the things I already mentioned as far as Bellower and Kale goes, not enough resistance to really get the job done, right? So, poisons are a big deal in a lot of these dungeons. Dragon's Lair, Ice Golem, these poisons end up doing a lot of damage, which is why Kale is so valuable in the early game. But with the build that it recommended for him, he was not able to consistently place those debuffs. So I think that it's a good start, and I think that, and you know what? Just to be fair, why don't we just run through and see if it's any better on stage 20? How about we do that? I want to be as fair as possible here, because once you start getting up to the higher dungeons, you might have already learned to a certain extent how to build your champions correctly. So while this is going, though, I do want to mention I think Apothecary is in a solid build. He seems to be going really fast in order to get back around to his turn meter boost and his heals pretty quickly, which I do like. So from a stat perspective, Apothecary doing really well. Grinner also doing really well. For a reviver, being able to get back to his revive relatively quickly, but just tanky enough to really withstand a lot of hits. So I do like that. Glade Wolf, I think, is good. I think maybe not quite tanky enough for stage 25. He was absorbing a lot of damage, and the provokes were nice. I think I'm okay with that build. My main concerns would be with Bellower and Kale. I think that it doesn't offer a whole lot of versatility. Like it seems like they were like, okay, if it's an attack-based champion, crit rate, crit damage, attack, and a little bit of speed, and then nothing else. And so it doesn't now. And again, just to be clear, I understand that you're probably not going to be able to do these like finely tuned builds. And in a way, I wish it were a little more advanced. Like you could maybe have some kind of general, like, hey, what stage are you looking to get done? Right. And you can say stage 20. And then it can say, okay, well, these would be the recommended minimal stats for like a stage 20 dungeon. And then it can build a little bit more focused around like, well, you typically need around 230 accuracy, something like that, to be able to get stage 20 done. So we're going to try to get Kale up to 230 accuracy along with the attack and the crit rate, right? I don't know how possible that is. I'm not a coder. I'm not a game designer, so I'm not totally sure. But that is something that, as I was watching, that's something that I was thinking about. Now, they are doing a lot better here, not taking as much damage. So I think what they're going for is probably somewhere like okay, this is going to be like your stage 1 through stage 20 type stuff. Because we're still not landing a ton of the poisons, but we are landing, well, maybe not more because we just got quad resisted there. So maybe not totally great. Yeah, see, resisted again. So that is something I would like to see. I think I would like to see, and Hell Hades, I think, has a great optimizer. But something in game kind of similar to that would be pretty cool, where you can maybe have something where you put the minimum stats, right? So you have some kind of stat indicator on the screen alongside the auto equip, where you say, I want a minimum of 200 accuracy, and then you can do whatever else you want with the build. And then that way you can ensure that you're going to have enough accuracy to place those debuffs. I do think that would be a little bit better. But you know, like I said, this is like, I think it's day 1 or 2 of this being live. So I'm trying not to judge it too harshly. I do want to give them credit because I do think it's going to be a really good tool for new players while they're trying to learn the game. This part always scares me. It was close. I think Glade Wolf really saved us there. I also have Glade Wolf built with masteries that absorb damage as well. So even if he doesn't have the ally protect up per se, he's still absorbing a little bit of damage. but it looks like we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. No drop attack out, which is kind of scary with such low HP. But there's the ally protect, which I think saved us a little bit, which is good. But still taking quite a while. 4.5 minutes on stage 20. Not super great. Okay. I'll go ahead. I think I've said pretty much all I want to say, so I think I'll just speed up the rest of the fight. Might be another minute or two at this rate, so maybe not that long, but yeah, I'll see you guys at the end of the fight. So we actually still almost lost there. I said when I was saying I'll see you guys at the end of the fight, he hit us with another one of those big hits and almost killed the entire team. So that was a little scary, but we get it done. 5 minutes and 9 seconds though. That's a long time. That's a long time. Kale with 1.8 million damage. Bellower and Grinner around the same. Apothecary 574. I do have him in War Master or Giant Slayer, I think. And then Glade Wolf 816, about 817. I think no, I don't have him in War Master, so no, that wouldn't be it. But he is built with 100% crit rate, so you know, it got the job done. I want to be fair. It got the job done. But it was tough. It was a little close. So let's go ahead and go in. We'll do stage 20 first to see if we can do stage 20. And then if we can do stage 20, we'll go on to stage either 24 or 25, depending on the, actually, I don't want to do weak affinity here. So we'll go, how about we go, let's go 21. Because I do want to keep Kale as the either neutral or positive affinity. I just don't want to deal with all the weak hits. So let's go ahead and just let this one play through. I'll see you guys back here at the end of the fight, okay? All right, guys, I want to go ahead and jump back in because I don't want this to go on for too long. As far as speed goes, we are getting the shield down, I think, quickly enough. The problem is mainly that we're not placing our poisons, right? You can see we got one there, but because we're not getting enough poisons out there to fill up the bar, he's just healing for too much. So we've got the drop speed, we've got the turn meter boost, we've got the multi-hitters. Like we've got 2 poisons now, but it's still not really going to be enough. Like we just got resisted again there. So we're doing a little bit of damage. There's another poison. That's actually kind of nice. So we're getting a little bit more lucky on the RNG here. But when he takes the turn, boom, he heals by just a little bit too much. If we had more poisons going out, we'd be able to get more damage and overcome the heal, which is what I was going for. So I'm going to go ahead and end the fight there because I think even if they do get it done, it's going to require a lot of luck and it's going to require a lot of time. So I'd rather go in now because we've done our 2 dungeons. We did Dragon and we did Fire Knight. I'd rather go in now and rebuild these champions the way that I would normally build them. I'll try not to go too overboard from like a stats perspective. Like I'm not going to build them all with 300 plus speed and 700 accuracy and so on. But I am going to put them in the builds that I would typically recommend for them. So just going to be 1 second to rebuild them. And then we'll go in, we'll test it again, and we'll see if it's any better or if they still struggle. Okay. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. I went ahead and rebuilt these guys in the builds that I would normally run them in. So let's just quickly go over the gear sets and the stats. So Apothecary, I love him in Relentless, and I also love him in Mercurial. It's going to give us resist, HP, and speed on a 3-piece set, and an 18% chance to get an extra turn. The Feral and the Slayer are both. Feral's not super important, but Slayer is good because I have him built to closer to 100% crit rate. But the Feral is giving us that triple resistance. So I actually decided to keep him in this one because I think it's resistance is a good stat for him to have. So we're going resistance. We're going with like HP, survivability, some crit rate, defense percentage, and things like that. So as far as the total stats go, he's around the same speed as what they had him in before. They had him around 315 or 320, I think it was, is what it was, but a little bit lower on the HP, a little bit more on the defense. And then we have the almost 100% on the crit rate to maximize that heal, and then 379 on the resist. So that is Apothecary's new build. On Glade Wolf, couple of things going on here. So we've got Immortal to get some HP and a heal by 3% of return. I like him in Immortal. Feral with a 40 accuracy to help us land those debuffs. Mercurial for some resistance and a little bit more HP. Stone Skin for a little bit more HP. And Pinpoint for a little bit more accuracy. So I actually don't run Glade Wolf in a damage build. So I forego the crit rate. Instead, I went HP with HP, HP with HP, and then defense with speed. This is a really good defensive one. If you can't, if you don't have enough speed to make that work, I would definitely just go speed with maybe more speed on the awakening or a lot of survivability built into the speed. Okay, so on the total stats here, 88.7 on the HP, 47.19 on the defense, 253 on the speed, and 432 on the accuracy. Bellower, I have him in kind of an older school kind of build. So we went double cruel for 30% attack and 10% ignore defense, but then perception and feral as well, because we do want enough accuracy to land those defense. So we're getting a little bit of ignore defense. His damage is based on attacks. However, for survivability, I went ahead and put him in HP percentage. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. So we're going crit rate. We have HP percentage. We've got speed with some attack here. And then we're just looking for enough accuracy and a little bit of crit damage as well. So we've got 53 on the HP, 3550 on the attack, 2400 roughly on the defense, 265 on the speed, 177 crit damage, and 346 accuracy. Grinner, regen, immortal. I always run, or not always, but I like to run my revivers in regen immortal. We're getting an 18% heal every turn and 15% HP, and then protection is giving us resist, and supersonic is giving us resist as well. So we've got 62.4 on the HP, 3112 on the defense, 234 on the speed, 320 on the resistance. And then finally, Kale, I would definitely recommend running him in an ignore defense build. So you can see here, 6-piece Merciless gives us 35% ignore defense and a chance to decrease a random skill's cooldown when dealing damage. Perception, because we want to land those poisons. Feral, because we want to land those poisons. If you can't do 6-piece Merciless yet, obviously Savage, Lethal, Cruel. You could even run this guy in 3 sets of Cruel to get 15% ignore defense. That wouldn't be bad for him as long as you can still get that accuracy, right? So total stats here, we're looking at 30 on the HP, 22, 42 on the defense. So still squishy like how they had him before, but 6,000 on the attack, 214 on the speed, so a little bit slower, but 100% on the crit rate, 242 on the crit damage, and 265 on the accuracy. Now let's go ahead and run it back here with stage 20. We were doing stage 20, I believe, of Dragon. And let's see if we get it done a little bit faster. And also if we just get it done. So I will see you guys back here at the end of the fight. Okay, guys, we're coming up on the end of the fight here. So, as you can see, being able to land those poisons is really the big difference maker here, right? And then being able to consistently land the decreased attack and decreased defense is a very big deal. So, we shaved off a lot of time, right? 2 minutes and 22 seconds. We didn't really die a whole lot. We didn't take a whole lot of damage at all because we were just killing them a lot faster. Bellower dealing a little bit more damage, not a whole bunch, but he contributed a little bit. Kale, even though he still got resisted a couple times on the poisons, he was able to consistently place those, which helped us kill the boss a lot faster. Apothecary with the good heals. Glade Wolf, excellent damage mitigator for our team, and then Grinner, self healing for about 260,000. So let's go and take it up to stage 24. Not 25, like I said. What am I thinking here? Affinities. Gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. And while this one is going, just for a minute, let me just talk again, just to reiterate that the point of this video is not to say that, like, hey, this thing is bad, don't use it, but rather to call out that I actually think that it is going to be a relatively good tool for new players, but there's a lot of room for potential improvements. And I hope that Plarium, this wasn't just a one-off thing where they're like, okay, we put it in the game. You can use it, you cannot use it. It's up to you, but this is all you're getting. I would like to see them develop this more for your mid to end game players. I think it's a good tool for the early game right now because you're just like, just put the best stats on there so that I can try to progress a little bit quicker. But I would like to see them develop it to a point where you can in game build craft a little bit easier. So I would love to see some of the improvements that I already called out. For example, seeing a view of who's getting gear taken away from them, so you know whether or not you want to do it, and so on and so forth. But overall, as a early game tool, I do like it. So I just wanted to comment on that. I'm not trying to trash on this thing. I do think it needs some work, but I think right now it's a good early game tool. So let's go ahead and watch this till the end of the fight, and I will see you guys back here in just a minute. All right, y'all, coming up on the end of this fight. Kale still a little bit under, I think, on the accuracy. He's landing his poisons more consistently, but he has been resisted quite a few times. So something to keep in mind when you're building him. But again, we get the job done relatively easy. Still a little bit of a long time, 4 minutes and 10 seconds, but we still accomplished it, right? So I do want to wrap up in Fire Knight 21 just to see if they can get it done under these new builds, because they just weren't doing enough damage with the other builds. So I want to see if maybe we can place more poisons to overcome the healing that he does for himself. But Kale, you can see here, doing a lot more damage, which is good under this build, and he's able to place those poisons. The tankiness of Glade Wolf paired with the counterattack is really great, and that little bit of self-healing. It might not seem like a lot, but healing by about 3,000 every turn is pretty good, especially when you consider that he's tanky enough that he's only taking about 4,000 damage per hit. Depending on who's hitting him. So, and then Apothecary, just an excellent, lots of extra turns. He's getting back around to his heal, and his turn meter boosts a lot quicker. So don't sleep on Relentless, man. Even though they nerfed it, it's still an incredible set. All right. Yep. See, there's Glade Wolf, right? Only, even a critical hit. Now that one was a big one, but even a critical hit only hitting for about 6,000 and then healing for about 3,000. So pretty solid build. I like Immortal. It stayed relevant in the game for so long. Like it's still a good build, even in 2026. And another thing I was thinking of when I was watching the spider fight, something else they could do is they could, when you go to use auto equip, they could ask you how you want to build the champion. So you could have, for example, options like, I don't know, like DPS, support / resist, support / accuracy, defensive / DPS, defense / accuracy, defense. You know what I mean? Like you could have a couple options on there where it's still vague enough where, it's not going to be like super detailed, but you can kind of build it like with Apothecary, for example, having like support / DPS. You could choose that so that you could get the 100% crit rate. For Kale, you could do DPS / accuracy to get a damage build that also has some accuracy built into it. I think that would be a pretty good. I think that'd be a pretty good option. So yeah, just something else to keep in mind. So we, excuse me, we are getting more poisons out. We need to get that big 4-time hitter. There's a couple big ones that should help a little bit, but it's still not quite enough. We need more poisons, please. More extra turns, please. Perfect. The extra turns with Relentless really help us out here. Now we've got 2, 4, 6 poisons up. There it is. We just filled the bar. Filled the bar with poisons. That's what we wanted. A lot of small versions, though. That's not a huge help. And yeah, you can see there. So with all those poisons, we're overcoming the health bar. So I think they will get it done. I think it's just going to take a while. So we'll watch for just a little bit longer, I think, before we call it, because you can see there we've still got about 3, 4, 5, 6 poisons, which is good. 7 poisons. Yeah, so I think they'll get it done. I think it's just going to take a little while. So, guys, I think I want to wrap up there. We can probably go ahead and just end this fight because I don't want you to sit here and watch it for another, 4 or 5 minutes while they get it done. So, my final thoughts on, I guess, just kind of rehashing all of the things that I've been rambling about over this video. I think auto-equip for stages 1 through 20 of core dungeons is going to be a really good tool, and campaigning as well is going to be a really good tool for early game accounts, for new players who are trying to learn the game, not having to worry about like, well, how do I build this champion? How do I do this? How do I, what stats should I prioritize? What gear, so on and so forth. I think it's going to be really good for them to be able to just say, you know what, just put them in the best gear that I have in the early game. I'm not going to worry about sets yet. Just put them in the best gear I have that's going to maximize the efficiency that they're putting out in the early game. I think it's an excellent tool for that. I would love to see some improvements made over the next couple of, hopefully the game's running over the next couple of years. Hopefully it doesn't shut down, but over the next couple of years, as they do more quality of life updates, seeing things like, something as simple as like when I click auto equip, right? Maybe instead of this initially, we get another box that has, not attention, stat preferences or something like that. And then you can have HP, DPS, or HP support, or HB debuff, or attack with accuracy, and so on and so forth. You can word it a whole bunch of different ways. And then when you select one and you move on, it'll say, like if I go into the preset manager and I go here, something like this, right? So it's telling me exactly what's getting taken off of Kale in order to make this build. So just doing that, but having it on there with the auto equip as well. So you can decide like, well, I don't want to break that build for my damage dealer. I don't want to do that. So just I'm not going to use it for this champion, right? Things like that I think would be great additions to this moving in the future. So I think that's going to wrap it up for my final thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like auto equip? Are you still in the early game? Are you going to use it? Are you not going to use it? What would you like to see moving forward as far as quality of life updates go for this function inside of the game? So far, I like it, although I'm not going to use it on my main accounts. If I ever start a free to play, I probably will use it. But as it stands right now, it doesn't offer a whole lot of value to me. So those are some of the things I would love to see moving forward in the future. Guys, thank you so much for dropping by the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.